Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Sri Govinda Gopinath Madan Govinda
Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki. All glories to Radha and Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three presiding deities of Vrindavan, Sri Govinda, Gopinath and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shamakund, Radhakund, Govardhan Hill and the Yamuna River. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavan, where Krishna and Balaram displayed all of their transcendental pastimes. Sorry. Where is it going? Lock screen. All glories to Keshi Ghat, where Krishna killed the Keshi demon. All glories to the Vamsivata tree, where Krishna attracted all the gopis to come by playing his flute. Glories to all of the 12 forests of Vraja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Sri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys, headed by Sridham, the older brother of Srimati Radharani and Ananga Manjari. All glories to the cows and calves of Vraja. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu and the beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni, grandmother of Madhumangal and Nandi Mukhi, and beloved disciple of Devarshi Narada. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Vraja. All glories to Gopeshwar Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmana friend, Madhumangal. All glories to Ramaghat, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all of the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtained the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shyam. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas and is propagated in Vraja by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Parakiya Bhav. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Sri Janavadevi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki Jai. Shri Jhulan Yatra ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Fisher. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Movie Savadana Mate Mate Jahara Prasade Bai E Baba Toriya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoi Jate Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Kya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Kya Ana Koriyo Mane Asa Asa Shri Guru Charane Ti Ese Utama Gati Utama Gati De Prasade Pure Sava Asa Chakudan Dilode Jame Jame Prabhu se Chakudan Dilode Jame Jame Prabhu se Devyani de Prakasito Devyani de Prakasito Prema Bhakti Jahote Avidya Vinasayate Prema Bhakti Jahote Avidya Vinasayate Vedeja Jahara Charito Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhaktivedanta Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bhaktivedanta रंगमय जमुनमय की श्रीमती तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद गुरु पूजा की श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की जय श्री श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की श्री श्री गौनिताय की श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद जुलन यात्रा महोत्सव की जय हरि बोल all glories to the Lord, glories to the Lord, all glories to the Lord, glories to Guru Shri Gaura. Lord, our spiritual master.
I bow down to the lotus feet of your Lord. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of your suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My weakness are my conscience purified by the words and meanings of the Buddha's heart. The perish and the will all reside. He opens my heart and I can fill my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, from his ecstatic reminiscence, like anything in this joy, the victory of the character. Our spiritual master of the world, the friend of the Lord, of the devotees, O Master, give us children to us. Give us the shield, give us the shield. May your grace spread all over 3 worlds. We need shelter to the truth.
Our speakers disappeared.
Make a small announcement that Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj will give a class very soon. So
Okay.
please, everyone be in the temple room to welcome you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Haribol, quick announcement. Mahavishnu Swami is giving class and he's just running a little bit late. So we're just going to do some kirtan and he'll shortly come. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
How long was the message? How long was the message? Okay. Yes, okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajgacharya Statara Sada Sri Srimad Divine Grace Abhai Chadnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Sri Prabhupada. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So apologies, it was touch and go whether Mahavishnu Swami would make it, and he unfortunately didn't. So I'll give a short class, let's try my best. Before I do, I'll read you something about Julan Yatra, Prabhupada letter to Jayapataka Maharaj, 1969, August the 1st. Regarding Julan Yatra ceremony, during these 5 days, the deity's clothing should be changed every day, and there should be nice prasadam distribution and sankirtan as far as possible. If you're able to do so, a nice throne may be constructed on which the deities can be placed. This throne may be swung gently during kirtan. That will be very good, and surely the deities will enjoy the function. So the 5 days of kirtan, sounds good, right? So tomorrow there's kirtan, a new initiative. Kulashekar Prabhu's idea. He wants to go to every tube station in London and we do kirtan. So we did 5 tube stations last Thursday. We're going to do Golders Green and work our way down the Northern Line. And then there's this Harinam at Soho in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, which is just a regular function. So if you're free, you can join us for either part 1 on the tube and in the town, the high streets, and part 2, 3 o'clock at Soho. Hare Krishna. Here's another comment from Prabhupada. This is a letter to Jagadish, 1973, 5th of January. Radha and Krishna may be swung in this way, but, this is interesting, you may avoid swinging Lord Jagannath like that. You see, we don't swing Lord Jagannath. So what is the story behind Julan Yatra? Well, I don't know so much, but I know a little bit. Those people who are familiar with conspiracy theories have probably heard the term problem, reaction, solution. You heard this term before? It's quite common. The idea being that if you want a certain outcome, you create a problem, people react to it, and then the solution is what you've already planned. The solution is the solution to the problem that you created. So Krishna does this with Srimati Radharani, because he very much wants to embrace her. So he has a little strategy. He's pushing the swing, then he pushes it a little bit harder, and then it becomes unstable. And Srimati Radharani cries out, "Krishna, help!" So he jumps on the swing and she grabs hold of him to save herself, and Krishna's very happy. So Prabhupada said, well, actually I'm not sure if Prabhupada said it, there's a website, ISKCON Desiratory. Krishna likes this pastime very much because normally he has to work so hard to get Radharani's embrace, but on this particular occasion it was very easy. So that's a little bit about Julan Yatra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 14. Tavapyetarhi Kauravya Saptaham Jivita Vidihi Upakalpaya Tat Sarvang Tavadyat Samparayakam Tavapyetarhi Kauravya Saptaham Jivita Vidihi Upakalpaya Tat Sarvang Tavadyat Samparayakam Tavapyetarhi Kauravya Saptaham Jivita Vidihi Upakalpaya Tat Sarvang Tavadyat Samparayakam. Amihi Upakalpaya tat sarvam Tavajat samparayikam. Ladies? Kauravya Tava, your, api, also, etarhi, therefore, Kauravya, O one born in the family of Kuru, Saptaham, 7 days, Jivata, duration of life, Avadihi, up to the limit, Upakalpaya, get them performed, Tat, those, Sarvam, all, Tavat, so long, Yat, which are, Samparayikam, rituals for the next life. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. So during this time, you can perform all those rituals which are needed for the best purpose of your next life. Please repeat. Maharaj Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. During this time, you can perform all those rituals which are needed for the best purpose of your next life. Purport. Shukadev Goswami, after citing the example of Maharaj Katvanga, who prepared himself for the next life within a very short time, encouraged Maharaj Parikshit by saying that since he still had 7 days at his disposal, he could easily take advantage of the time to prepare himself for the next life. Indirectly, the Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that he should take shelter of the sound representation of the Lord for the 7 days still remaining in the duration of his life, and thus get himself liberated. In other words, everyone can best prepare himself for the next life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, as it was recited by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. The rituals are not formal, but there are also some favorable conditions which are required to be carried out as instructed hereafter. Om Jnanatim Mirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Tanam Bhavitbhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I seek the blessings of everyone, particularly Moksha Lakshmi Prabhu, our Prabhupada disciple. So during while the temple was closed, I spent a lot of time, and Smara Hari Prabhu, who didn't see you there, sorry. Radha Mohan is so colossal. I'm joking. Yeah, I know. I had to find a good excuse. Please excuse me. I've got a bad habit. Anyway, so while the temple was closed, I would every Saturday go to Food for All in Watford, and a group of us would be chanting in a parking lot while devotees would come and take prasadam. So Moksha Lakshmi Prabhu was doing that every week. It seemed to be quite a popular event for a lot of devotees. And I noticed that just before the temple opened, the numbers of devotees going on Harinam Sankirtan actually increased. Because central London Harinam, there was several Saturdays with over 100 people, which was really good. So I hope it continues. But I think now the temple's open, more people will go to the temple, which is also very good preaching, of course. But we'll see what happens.
Friday night at the Gurukul.
We have Friday, yes, good. Friday night at the Gurukul, that's at 7 o'clock.
With prasadam and a bag of fruit.
Prasadam and bag of fruit, so you can get your vitamins for the week. Nice bag of fruit, and there's some nice kirtan, and it's so close. So if you live near the manor, then you're obviously close enough to go to the Gurukul. So it's interesting how, if we think we had 7 days to live, we'd be thinking, oh, that's a very short space of time. But sometimes Prabhupada, he twists it the other way around. He says, Parikshit Maharaj knew that he had 7 days, but you don't even know you've got 7 minutes. So Prabhupada would say the opposite. So we don't know when it can happen. I mentioned actually, Kulashekhar's mentioned him about, he organised the Harinam party. He told me about a year ago that someone was walking, because he's in the fire brigade, someone was walking down the street, and for some reason a car veered off the road, or was a lorry, and ran right over the person, and they just got crushed under the lorry. So this can happen, you're just walking down a street, and next thing you know, it's all over, So we don't know we've got 7 days. So Parikshit Maharaj, he's very fortunate. He knows he's going to live for at least 7 days. So he has 7 days to relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. But sometimes it requires a sense of desperation or a desperate situation for us to take Krishna consciousness seriously. The example of Maharaj Khatvanga. So being intelligent, he asked, how long do I have to live? He was given a boon. He asked, how long do I have to live? And he was told his duration of life was almost finished. So he took that opportunity to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that should be our goal. But we should find a way to do it without having the Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. The difficult thing for us to do is to have that sense of urgency when we haven't received that final notice, yes. The final notice. So sometimes we see devotees, they get very serious just when they find out that they're going to leave their bodies, So sometimes for devotees, it's a nice, it's good to know. It's good to know that you have a certain period of time, because then you can get really serious, and it's better than leaving your body all of a sudden. Now, I'm reminded of the famous verse, Nasta Prayashva Bhadrashu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavat Yuttamashlaki, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. If we recite the Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, then all that is troublesome is practically destroyed to nil, and loving devotional service becomes established as an irrevocable fact. So in this verse, the term used is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Our hearing of the Bhagavatam should be Nityam, which means always. So in this particular purport, is it in the verse? It's in the verse and purport. We have the term Saptaham, which means 7 days, right? So Prabhupada would sometimes say, so it is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, not Saptaha Bhagavata Sevaya, right? Because he used to criticize the professional reciters who would do 7 days recitation, right? And then they get a bit of bakshish, right? It's like, but we're not against 7 days. Parikshit Maharaj recited for 7 days, but we don't stop. We're just 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, etc. Or one other way to look at it, yes, we do it 7 days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's our 7 days, and then next week 7 days, one like that. And but the question then arises: how can we actually do it 7 days and not get bored? We have to go deep into the Bhagavatam. So it said, Bhakcha Bhagavatam Grahyam Nabujana Chatikaya. It's not understood by mundane intelligence, not understood by reading of commentaries or writing one's own commentaries, unless one has bhakti, Bhakcha Bhagavatam Grahyam. It's understood through bhakti. That is the key to regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we don't have that bhakti, we don't do the proper service attitude, then we're eventually going to stop attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. I remember when I joined the Hare Krishnas, which was 25 years ago, there was one sannyasi. And so I'm thinking, at that time I was thinking he's really old, but I'm probably his age now. Anyway, I don't know, maybe not. No, I'm probably, yeah. And he said, he was about 50 years old, and he'd been attending the Bhagavatam class for about 25 years or something. And he said, if you listen carefully, you will always learn something new. So there's something to try out. Listen very carefully to Srimad Bhagavatam class, and you will always learn something new. So I sometimes try to put this into practice. And it's actually true, I always learn new things. So it said in the 12th canto, Tach Trinvan Supatan Vicharana Paro Bhakjava Muchen Naraha. The way to approach Srimad Bhagavatam is, first of all, Tach Trinvan, which means what? Shrinvan means? Shrinvan? Shrinvatam Svagata Krishna. What does Shrinvan mean? Bit of Sanskrit, simple. Hearing, yes, very good, hearing. Tach Trinvan and Supatan, what does pata mean? It means, what are the duties of a brahmana? Yajna, yajna, patana, patana. Right, what do these words mean? Patana, patana. Studying, yes, studying is patana, and patana, recitation. Right? So these two things, we hear, we study, and we recite, or we teach others. So Tach Trinvan Supatan, the Bhagavatam should be recited very nicely. Supatan means done very nicely. And Vicharana Para. What does Vichara mean? Vichara. Vichara Kariti Chiti Pabi Chamatkar. If you do Vichar, thinking, someone said thinking, yeah, correct. Thinking. If you think, if you study very carefully, analyze, then Chamatkar means you become astonished. The Srimad Bhagavatam and the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are so wonderful, because I'm borrowing a Chaitanya Charitamrita verse here. What is it? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Koroho Vichar Vichara Kariti Chiti Pabi Chamatkar. If you apply your logic to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, start to figure out his mercy, really think about deeply what is Lord Chaitanya's mercy, what it means, what he did, how he's giving something very high to people very low. Then Chitti in the consciousness, then Pabi Chamatkar, you become astonished. So what is astonishment? It's nothing to do with logic. You start off with the logic and you end up with astonishment. What is astonishment? Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Mahuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavakaha. It is rasa. Astonishment is an emotion, and it's a wonderful emotion. We like to be astonished. So many people were watching the Olympic Games over the last few weeks. Why? Because athletes can do astonishing things. And then they put it on YouTube, you get a little clip, a few seconds of some astonishing, quadruple somersault dive, or someone on a BMX bike doing some wonderful tricks. That's astonishing. But Krishna's pastimes is astonishment to a higher level. And it truly touches the heart. It is the heartfelt Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. The word Pibata means drinking. So we drink the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, I'm going to dig into the purport. The king at once left the heavenly kingdom, which is always full of material enjoyment of the highest standard, and coming down to this earth took ultimate shelter of the all-safe personality of Godhead. So there are a collection of verses from the 5th canto which state that the demigods prefer to live on this planet than to be in the heavenly planets, at least when they're not bewildered by enjoyment. So it is said that demigods are queuing up to come and take part in the Sankirtan movement on this earth. And you may ask yourself, well, where's the evidence for that? But actually, if you look at the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, you'll find verses in the actual verse that explains how this particular place, Bharatvarsha, is desired by demigods as a place to take birth. And from their perspective, because the duration of life is so long, they see personalities coming here, taking part in the Sankirtan movement and going back to Godhead, and it's happened just like that. one after the other. And they're going, this is the place to be. But can they free themselves from that enjoying mentality? Too much suffering, hard to do devotional service. Prabhupada explains this. Too much enjoyment, too little enjoyment. Either way, it's very hard. So this earth is kind of in the middle. It's kind of like you can tolerate it. It's not so bad that you want to kill yourself, at least for most people. But it's not that good that you can get intoxicated with sense enjoyment because there's too many things going wrong. So we do something in between, and we try and have a sober mind. And this is the good planet to be, because it's just the right amount of enjoyment to stop you going mad, but not too much. Not too much suffering, because too much suffering is very difficult to engage in devotional service. And but having said that, I mentioned sometimes we can be in a very great suffering condition due to terminal illness, and that can be a wake-up call, and it can make us very serious about devotional service. And there are so many instances, and sometimes instances of devotees that leave the movement, and then they come back towards the end of their lives, and Krishna arranges for them to have the association of devotees at the time of death. This is a wonderful message to us about the mercy of Lord Krishna, because when someone leaves the movement, they tend to get a little bit of criticism from other members, but then Krishna's always arranging, well not always, but very often arranging for those same people to come back to devotional service at the end of their life. And that shows that Krishna's wonderful gratitude, that he doesn't forget what we do. And there's a name for Krishna that indicates that he sees our good qualities. Does anyone know the name for Krishna? Gunagrahi. You know, Prabhupada would often say, Gunagrahi Janardana. Janardana's Krishna, and he's Gunagrahi, which means he sees the quality, the good quality. And there's also a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita which says that Krishna does not see the faults of his devotee. He sees their good qualities. And it's actually also said that devotees do not tolerate insults to Krishna, and Krishna does not tolerate insults to his devotees. And when we wonder, why is the position of the devotee in some sense even higher than the position of Krishna? Because it's said that way, that Yemi bhakta jana partha nami bhaktas chachi danaha but bhaktanam chate bhaktas temi bhaktatama mataha. Those who say they are my devotee are not my devotee, but those who say they are the devotee of my devotee, they are my real devotee. So Krishna, he's so fond of his devotees that if you become a devotee of his devotees, then that is an even easier way to make spiritual advancement. So our business is to serve the devotees, and that's sometimes difficult because devotees come in all shapes and sizes. That wasn't a reference, Radhamohan, I wasn't criticising you there. I'm joking. And they come with all different mentalities, and sometimes we rub each other up the wrong way, and we have to tolerate each other. But this is a good opportunity to always understand the very special nature of the devotee, because Krishna is very categorically said that he loves his devotee very deeply. And sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhanam hridayam tvaham madanyadne na janante naham tebhyo managapi. The devotees are my heart, and I am the heart of my devotees. They know nothing but me, and I know nothing but them. So who spoke this? Anyone remember the past time where this famous verse was spoken? Navadip Chandra Prabhu knows, but he's not going to answer. Anyone knows? This is a famous verse. His Lord Vishnu spoke this to Durvasa Muni. He also said, Aham bhakta pradina yasvatantra iva dvija sadhu bir grasta hridayo bhaktayar bhakta jana priya. He's bhaktayar bhakta jana priya. The Lord is bhakta jana, the devotees, he's the devotee of his devotee. And his asvatantra, which means, svatantra means one is under the control of oneself. Svatantra. Paratantra means under someone else's control. So when we say Krishna, or when Vishnu says asvatantra, he's saying that actually I'm not in control, because I'm controlled by the love of my devotees. Because remember, Durvasa Muni's looking for help he's trying to escape the Surasan Chakra. And Lord Vishnu says, I can't help you because I'm controlled by my devotees. You go to Ambarish Maharaj, and he will give you, if he forgives you, then everything's fine by me. And the Sudarshan Chakra will then not chase you anymore. That's exactly what happened. So that's some little thoughts about bhakti. So I mentioned how bhakti is the means through which we can understand Srimad Bhagavatam, and I also mentioned how bhakti is what controls the Lord. Hare Krishna. So thank you for your tolerance. And I've left a few minutes if anyone wants to add anything or have any questions or comments. Just remember it's a very special 5 days, so make the most of this opportunity for Julan Yatra. And today is Ekadashi. And while I was chanting japa, one kind devotee came up to me and showed me a statement by Bhaktivedanta Goswami. He said, because the word fasting is upavas, and in the statement it was said, upa means close and vas means to reside. So upavas means to reside close to the Lord. So we should think of we should think of fasting as not as just upavas fasting, but we should think of fasting as coming closer to the Lord. And the comment was, therefore we should do kirtan. So we should do more kirtan on Ekadasis, then we can reside with the Lord, because that is ultimately the purpose of Ekadasi. What is it? Madhavatiti. You know what's that phrase? Madhavatiti. Bhakti. Janani. So Madhavatiti, the special days are the cause of bhakti. If you want to develop your bhakti, then take Ekadasi seriously. And who taught this? Lord Chaitanya. He asked one thing from his mother: please observe Ekadasi. Some people think this is silly. It's external. It's external. Why? Ekadasi is an external thing, but no, it's the mother of devotion. Hare Krishna. Anyone? Thank you. Prayojana Prabhu.
I recall a moment of humor from Bhaktivedanta Manor flags.
Okay.
Radha Mohan, in my second year here, he imitated me.
So now I feel not so bad.
And my accent and this sort of thing, and my Prashadam time serving.
Okay.
And sort of controlling. And it was a very special moment for me, because not only did I have to tolerate looking at me, but it brought me down to earth, and it was a very special moment, and I'm very thankful for that. And I think, I needed a mirror.
Yeah.
And Radha Mohan happened to be that mirror for me at that time.
Very good.
I had to love myself, And so Krishna's acting in so many ways. So this time, I was on the back of the place.
Thank you very much. Are you saying this is his karma? No, I'm joking. I'm going to get it now. I'll offer my obeisances to Prabhuji. Mara Hari Prabhu.
I would like to say something about imitating.
Or tell me.
I was in Mayapur with Shamsundar, the original, and I was helping him. We had a bookstall and people were taking his book. And Radhanath Maharaj came over. They're all friends who hang out together. Radhanath Maharaj visits them in Oregon and so on. And he asked Shamsundar, how are you doing? And Shamsundar says, well, he said, I have a little bit of a dilemma because at 4:30 in the afternoon, 2 different parties have booked me to speak at their function. And I don't know how to do that. And Radhanath said, yes, the same thing happened to me actually today also, that I felt too different. So I said, listen, you guys are both celebrities, you're well-known figures. What celebrities do is they have a double. when you have a person who looks like you and he does the events, they don't have to scream and persuade and you know, I don't understand why there's a dilemma, but you just get a body double and it's a very simple solution. So rather than that, he started heaving with laughter. And when he heaves, his shoulders drop, and he was having a real belly laugh at my remark. And he said, nobody would stoop so low as to try to imitate me.
Hare
Nobody
Krishna.
would stoop so low as to attempt to imitate me. But I have a question.
Tell me.
Parikshit Maharaj was the highest man, he was the highest king, and he had the benefit of 7 days left to live, and he engaged those days in a very exemplary manner. You mentioned the gentleman who was walking down the street and got hit by a truck. Most of us don't have the luxury of having a timely notice of when our, so most of us are not aware. My question is, in your view, do we need that 7 days concentrated application of bhakti at the time of death to tip the scales, or for the ordinary devotee, is it sufficient, or to what degree do you feel it's sufficient that they attempt to engage in line processes of bhakti and make some kind of, to what degree would this be effective? The ordinary person, to what degree would this be effective?
There's two things I want to say. It's quite often said that it's inauspicious to leave one's body in a coma because one is not conscious. One should be thinking of Krishna at the time of death. But there's a statement of Prabhupada where he says, for a devotee, even if in a situation like that, Gaur-Nitai, I think it's Gaur-Nitai, will force themselves into the heart of that devotee. So there's a kind of proactive, you're always protected. So even if we leave the planet at an inauspicious time or suddenly without prior notice, we shouldn't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because the Lords are so merciful that they can actually do that. And as far as, it's an interesting question. Probably would often say, you can't wait till the time of death to get your sadhana together, or your meditation on Krishna, because your sadhana will be tested at the time of death. So if someone's not lived a life of devotional service, not taking it very seriously, it's unlikely that in the days leading up to their departure that they're going to be able to do that, because you need some special mercy in order to fix your mind on Krishna. But of course, the Lord's very merciful, so even if one has not been very good in one's devotional service throughout one's life, just by making that effort at the time of death, then what's a few days? There's one purport where Prabhupada says, you can take Krishna conscious, you can become Krishna conscious, take many lifetimes, or it can happen in a few seconds. So because it can happen in a few seconds, there's no limit to how much mercy we can get. So how effective is it? It's an interesting question. Here's the question I sometimes ask: what percentage of devotees go back to Godhead? We have no idea. We don't find out. We just. One time, there was a Prabhupada disciple. I don't know who the disciple was, but I think it was their mother left the planet. Mother was not a devotee, but that disciple was there and said Hare Krishna at the time of death. And Prabhupada said this disciple's mother went back to Godhead. So my question, what does that mean? How is that possible? Without initiation, without being a devotee, and didn't even have faith, but heard the holy name at the time of death. What kind of mercy is that? That's huge. Anyway, that's some thoughts. Prajna Prabhu.
Please remember all that I've done for you.
Yes.
Is that nice verse?
It's an interesting verse.
Yeah, which is often read.
And what does it mean? It's interesting. It's like, I did so much for you, so reciprocate with me, yeah? It's interesting.
I think it's a case of the business that it's something I said, even somebody put a nail in
Oh, yeah.
the wall of the temple to put a picture is remembered. So, but also when it's an unfortunate time and somebody does pass away suddenly, in a car crash or whatever, there's that circumstance that reminded that they're dealing with in that verse where it's a huge
Thank you. Smara Hari Prabhu.
There's regarding qualification, and it brings in a phrase that probably used to be translated from a verse. There was an Indian devotee, early days, in Vrindavan, and he asked Prabhupada, I want to take sannyas, give me sannyas. And Prabhupada said, best you remember him. He said, Srila Prabhupada, he said, I'm just doing communal service here, and there's so many things I can do. I know Sanskrit, Hindi, I know Vaishnava song, I'd be much more effective with sannyas. And Prabhupada said, remember him. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, he said, I've been a sadhu my whole life. He actually was Bengali, he went to college. Then he went to Rishikesh and joined an ashram. He was an impersonal ashram, but then as soon as he met the devotees, so then he became a disciple. He said, I've been deciding my whole life, Prabhupada. Well, this is best to remember him. He was giving different arguments. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, you're giving sannyas to young American boys who've only been devotees for a few years. Prabhupada said, he said, these Western boys are coming from such a degraded background. And he said, Krishna only sees their service. He does not see their faults. He said, you are coming from a Brahmin family. His father was, I think, a Durga, he was a pujari at some Durga temples. He said, you are coming from a Brahmin family. He said, if you would fall down, this would be a very great pity. He said, best, he said, if you remain brahmachari. He said, if you want to take sannyas, he said, first you should be married to someone.
Thank you.
So it's like, what is the qualification? Now, of course, there's no indication that any of these people went back to Godhead. But most certainly, they made advancement. And the Prabhupada was saying Krishna doesn't see the fault. Of course there's a notion of fault. Look at the person's circumstances. Look at his paribhav. Look at his, how can he be perfect? How can it's not possible? But he's making some, putting down the wall, he's making some, and there's definitely advancement of what is the qualification to bring all the way back to God and being a mercy and Krishna friend, which is our goal. That makes it.
Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Yargo. Jai.
Mandela told me about this last I don't know if this is Abrayavasi's story or Srimad Bhagavatam, that like Krishna was pushing the swing and Bhagavan was in the swing. Like he started pushing the swing very strong. So much that he went all around. Like actually the pujari of like she went all around, you know, and then after that she went like passion, like where is that, you know, it's just like a person that I don't know, have you heard that?
I've not heard it, and I'm so like rascal that I don't read pastimes. I just stick with little philosophy bits, you know. So I haven't read that one. No, I've never heard it. I'll have a look on Google and I'll try and see if I can find any reference. If I see it, I'll let you know. Yeah, it's like, it's a nice idea. And that's intense, going all the way around. Very well.
So that, come in the bigger picture.
My dear sir, you give an excellent class of a few moments.
Yeah, 26 was the first that I've gone to Peterborough. There was an earlier appointment in Durham. It was Michael forward in one day. Is it like KP? I don't know, it's a lot easier to do that. Yeah, it's scrutinized. Almost we put it to my shoulder. You're quite a silly bed. You're quite a silly bed. Excuse me, Bob. That harmonium you were playing, that change there. Aditya has one.
Padakamalang Sri Gurun Vaishnavansha Sri Rupam Satrajatam Savana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sadivam Shantaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
I think it will come in 5 minutes.
Hare
You want to answer?
Another song. Do you know the song Shuddha Bhakata?
I know. No, I mean, I need to read it. Yeah.
You know the song? The Ekadasi song, Shuddha Bhakata.
Can you launch it? Maybe can you turn it the other way around? So maybe. Oh, great. Hey, what's going on? Very nice. Wow, Shuddha Bhakata.
Should we do 2 tal or 1 or 3 tal?
Do 2 tal.
2 tal. You can do 2. That's good. Because in both better than. Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Da Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamula Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamula. That's good. That's what he's doing. It's perfect. Madhavatite Bhakti Janani Yetani Palanakone Davatite Bhakti Janani Yetana Palanakone Krishna Pashate Pashate Bali Parama Adara Bali Krishna Pashate Pashate Bali Parama Adara Bali Rama Jai Jamasana Lora Rama Narayane Lora Amara Jisa Basani Lora Rama Narayane Say Sabasana Hare Bhave Rana Vipakata Sange Say Sabasana Hare Bhave Rana Vipakata Sange Vidanga Bhaja Shuddhiti Mana Abhasara Sadhanache Vidanga Bhaja Shuddhiti Mana Hare Well done on the cartels, you kept it together there.
I think.
I'm just going to sing something.
All right.
You want to sing your Bhaja Hurima now?
Bhaja
Anyway, you sing what you want.
Okay.
You sing Bhajas?
I don't know. I sing.
Oh, you sing Bhajas? You can sing and we can follow.
Bhaja Hurima.
Do you want? Yes, you want. We don't sing enough Bhajans to this one. Bhaja Hurima now.
All right.
I remember you.
I remember by heart. Raja Hure Manasinandananda Raja Hure Nabaya Charana Ravendurem Raja Hure Manasinandananda Nabaya Charana Ravendurem Raja Hure Manasinandananda Nabaya Charana Ravendurem Raja Hure Manasinandananda Nabaya Charana Ravendurem Durlava Manava Janama Sasange Durlava Manava Janama Sasange Durlava Manava Janama Sasange Durlava Manava Janama Sasange Taro Hare Baba Sindure Taro Hare Baba Sindure Taro Hare Baba Sindure Taro Hare Baba Sindure Sita Yata Baba Jabari Jana Edine Jamini Jagire Sita Yata Baba Jabari Jana Edine Jamini Jagire Sita Yata Baba Jabari Jana Edine Jamini Jagire Chapala sukala bala gire Chapala sukala bala gire Chapala sukala bala gire Chapala sukala bala gire Edana yovana putra bani jana Itaki ache barati gire Edana yovana putra bani jana Itaki ache barati gire Edana yovana putra bani jana Itaki ache
bhajan? Or sing Hare Krishna? Which bhajan? So I'm going to get it up on my phone.
Kabe habe bolo. Kabe habe bolo.
Oh yeah, cool.
Kabe habe bolo.
Dinamar.
Aparada.
Vishnu Jan.
Shidana meruchi.
Vishnu Jan sings this next time.
You play Haruna?
Yeah. So I'll find it.
Oh, he's going to play. Yes. He's very expert.
Look, just get in front of the mic so that all the residents can hear you. Kabe habe bolo se dinamar. Habe bolo se dinamar. Aparada gucci, shudana meruchi, kripa
Hari, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,